Today, I was lucky. I was lucky enough to be able to reach a certain weight at the cost of having to stop. It was in that moment where I became disappointed. It was now more destructive for me to complete the last 3 reps than it was for me to put away my pride and to realize that I wasn't disappointed, but that I was feeling disappointed. If I would have let this disappointment decide what I did next and for the rest of the day, my day and my challenge would have been over. I would have had to quit and start all over again, start from day 0, making every single excuse because I'm disappointed, because an old injury was brought back, and because there's nothing else that I could possibly do in my mind. But I was lucky because this was my previous maximum weight, and I did 3 of these reps, which tells me that I was able to push past my previous strength. If I could do 3 of these reps, even if they're broken up, that means that I could have done a higher 1 rep max. That means that this was not the end. And so I decided in that moment, it wasn't important to be disappointed. It wasn't important for me to let my helplessness and my frustration take over the rest of my day. In fact, these are things that I felt. They aren't me. I can't be identified with my emotions. I can't be identified with my results. They tell me where I'm at. They tell me how I'm feeling in that moment. They don't determine my choices. And so I took this further. I asked the question, well, what do we do next? What's most important? What can I still do to go towards my goals? So as weak as a walk is, I decided to walk. I decided to use an incline walk as a recovery. And I decided to focus on what I could at the park. Speaking of that, I was even more lucky. It was the Armed Forces Parade today, which means that the original park that I go to was closed. The street that I go to was traffic heavy, which means I had to improvise. I had to go around this. I had the choice again. Am I gonna let my emotions choose my decisions, say no and not do this? Or am I gonna decide for myself and do what I feel is important? Here's the thing. In every single moment when we feel these shitty emotions, when we feel that there's nothing else we can do, this is just a second for us to look ourselves in our own spiritual or mental or whatever type of metaphysical mirror you want to talk about and look ourselves straight in the eye. These are signals that are here to warn us of the danger that we will be possibly facing or have previously faced. They aren't there to make our decisions for us. They're there to warn us that this was previously or is danger right now. But the problem is, in most of the cases before this, I decided, and maybe you decided, to identify as these emotions, as these signals. What we should have realized is that these are our emotions. These are our signals. We own them. They don't own us. Maybe you get angry because the bathroom is being held up. Maybe there's a line that's stopping you from using the bathroom. Are you gonna let your anger own you? To be impatient? Are you gonna let your anger force you to cut in front of somebody in traffic? Or are you gonna take over and own your emotion? Are you gonna be able to take control of the situation and make the most of it? Every time we lose focus, every time we lose track of what goes on in life, it's because we have failed to realize what our options are. And our options are taken away by what we feel is us, what we feel we identify with. If our results suck, why would we feel that we can do better? If we get angry, sad, depressed, or any sort of negative emotion, why would we feel that we would be able to do better? So instead of letting this own my day, instead of letting these speed bumps, these signals own my day, I had the choice every single time. Am I going to let this stop me, or am I going to push forwards? Am I going to own my emotions? Am I going to own my situation? Am I going to own what I feel is stopping me? Or is it going to be my identity? Is it going to be where I fail and where I stop because I see it as a cul-de-sac or a wall? And as long as we continue to identify as these things, instead of owning our emotions, instead of owning our signals, instead of owning our situation, and owning who we truly are, we're going to continue to tell ourselves we can't do it. We're going to continue to give ourselves excuses any sort of excuse that will prevent us from being the best that we possibly can. Are you gonna let that happen? Are you gonna see that this is the last straw that you can pull? Or are you gonna realize that you've been pulling from the wrong cup the whole time, and that there's a bigger cup for you to pull from?